What happens when a wife books a Miami weekend with her ex-boyfriend and tells her husband it's just reconnecting as friends? How does a man respond when his spouse posts vacation photos with another man while dismissing his concerns as insecurity? Can a marriage survive when one partner treats betrayal as boldness and the other responds with silent, legal precision? Before we dive deeper into this story, I have one small request. Please subscribe, drop a like, comment, and hit that hype button to boost this channel so more people can discover these incredible stories. The kitchen smelled like coffee and toast that Tuesday morning, the kind of ordinary moment that makes you forget how quickly everything can change. Nathan was standing by the counter, scrolling through his phone while his coffee cooled in his favorite mug, the one with the chipped handle I kept meaning to replace. I was buttering my toast when I decided to just say it. I told him that Dominic had reached out and invited me to Miami for the weekend. Nathan looked up slowly, his expression caught somewhere between confusion and disbelief. He asked who Dominic was, even though I knew he remembered perfectly well. I reminded him that Dominic was my ex from college, the one I had dated for 2 years before we broke up amicably when he moved to California for work. Nathan set his phone down carefully on the counter and asked why Dominic was inviting me to Miami. I explained that Dominic was in town for a real estate conference and thought it would be nice to catch up, that we had always stayed friendly and there was nothing weird about it. Nathan asked if I was seriously considering going. I laughed and said of course I was considering it, that it would be fun to reconnect with an old friend and get away for a weekend. I told him it was healthy for married people to maintain friendships outside the relationship. Nathan stood very still for a moment. Then he asked if I planned to go alone. I said yes, obviously, since the invitation was for me. He asked where I would stay. I told him Dominic had already booked a hotel, that it was a nice resort near the beach. Nathan asked if we would be staying in the same room. I rolled my eyes and said no, of course not, that Dominic had booked adjoining suites, so we each had our own space, but could hang out easily. Adjoining suites, Nathan repeated quietly. I told him he was overthinking it, that Dominic was just being practical. Nathan said that spending a weekend in Miami with an ex-boyfriend in adjoining hotel suites did not sound practical. It sounded inappropriate. I felt irritation rise in my chest. I told him he was being controlling, that this was exactly the kind of jealous, insecure behavior that made me feel suffocated in the marriage. I said that modern relationships required trust, and that if he could not trust me, then maybe we had bigger problems. Nathan said trust also required boundaries. I told him boundaries were different from chains, that I was not going to ask permission to see an old friend just because he felt threatened. He said he was not threatened, he was uncomfortable, and that there was a difference. I laughed and said the difference was just semantics. He asked what Dominic's intentions were. I said Dominic did not have intentions. He was recently divorced and probably just wanted friendly company. Nathan pointed out that recently divorced men inviting ex-girlfriends to Miami beach resorts generally had very specific intentions. I accused him of projecting his own insecurities onto other people. Nathan took a slow breath and said that if I really wanted to go, he could not stop me, but that he thought it was a mistake. I told him I appreciated his opinion, but that I was going anyway. He nodded once, picked up his mug, and poured the rest of his coffee down the sink. Then, he rinsed the mug carefully and set it on the opposite side of the counter from mine. That small gesture felt bigger than it should have. When he left for work that morning, he did not kiss me goodbye. He just said he hoped I knew what I was doing, and then he was gone. I stood in the empty kitchen, feeling a strange mix of victory and unease. I had stood my ground. I had refused to let him control me. So why did I feel like I had just lost something? At work that afternoon, I was still buzzing with defiance. My office was an open-plan workspace filled with natural light and the constant hum of creative energy. I loved it there. I worked as an event coordinator for a boutique marketing agency, and my job required me to be social, outgoing, and unafraid to take risks. That was who I was. That was who Nathan had married. Around 2 o'clock, my email pinged with a new message from Dominic. The subject line read, "Miami confirmed," with a palm tree emoji. I opened it eagerly and found the hotel booking confirmation attached. 2 suites on the 18th floor, adjoining doors, ocean view, check-in, Friday afternoon. He had added a note at the bottom saying he could not wait to see me and that it had been too long. I felt a thrill run through me, the same kind of electric excitement I used to feel when we were dating. I screenshot the email and texted it to my best friend Mina with 3 fire emojis. Mina worked as a graphic designer 2 desks over, and I watched her phone light up. She glanced at the screen, then looked over at me with wide eyes. She got up and walked over, leaning against my desk. She asked if Nathan was okay with this. I told her Nathan did not get to decide what I was okay with. She raised her eyebrows and said that was not really what she asked. I said Nathan was being insecure and that I was not going to enable his controlling behavior by canceling my plans. Mina said it seemed like a big trip to take with an ex. I told her Dominic and I were just friends now, that we had moved past all the romantic stuff years ago. She asked if I was sure about that. I said of course I was sure, and that if Nathan trusted me the way he should, none of this would be an issue. Mina nodded slowly but did not look convinced. She said she hoped I knew what I was doing, then went back to her desk. I noticed she did not say she thought it was a good idea. That evening when I got home, Nathan was already there. He was sitting at the dining table with his laptop open, typing something with focused precision. I dropped my bag on the couch and asked how his day was. He said it was fine. I asked if he wanted to talk more about the Miami trip. He said there was nothing more to talk about, that I had made my decision. I sat down across from him and tried to explain that this was not about him. It was about me maintaining my independence and my friendships. I said that marriage should not mean losing yourself or cutting off people from your past. Nathan looked at me for a long moment and said that was true, but that marriage also meant considering how your actions affected your partner. I told him he was being dramatic. He said I was being dismissive. I said he was trying to guilt me into cancelling. He said he was trying to make me see how this looked from the outside. I asked what he meant by that. He said that from the outside, it looked like a married woman was going on a romantic vacation with her ex-boyfriend and expecting her husband to be fine with it. I told him it was not a romantic vacation, it was a friendly reunion. He asked if I would be okay if he went to Miami for a weekend with one of his ex-girlfriends and stayed in adjoining hotel suites. I said that was different. He asked how. I said because I trusted him. He said then I should understand why this was hard for him to trust. I stood up, frustrated. I told him I was not going to argue about this anymore, that I was going to Miami and that was final. He said he understood. His voice was so calm it made me angrier. I asked why he was not fighting harder if he really cared. He said because fighting was not going to change anything. Then he closed his laptop and stood up. He said he had some work to finish and that he would be in the guest room if I needed him. I asked why he was sleeping in the guest room. He said he thought it was better if we had some space right now. I told him he was being childish. He said he was being honest. Then he walked down the hallway, and I heard the guest room door close softly. I sat on the couch, scrolling through my phone, trying to convince myself that I was right. I opened Instagram and posted a story, just a simple sunset photo I had saved from a previous trip with the caption, "Sometimes you need to revisit the past to appreciate the present," followed by a palm tree and airplane emoji. Within minutes, the reaction started coming in. Mina liked it, a few co-workers liked it, my mother liked it, and commented that I should always follow my heart. When I went to check on Nathan before bed, I saw light coming from under the guest room door. I knocked softly. He said I could come in. He was sitting at the small desk with his laptop open, working on something I could not quite see from the doorway. I asked what he was doing. He said he was just organizing some files. I noticed he had created a new folder on his desktop labeled Household. I asked what that was for. He said it was just for bills and records, nothing important. His phone was sitting on the desk beside him, and as I stood there, the screen lit up with a calendar reminder. Meridian Office, 3:45 p.m. He glanced at it and quickly dismissed the notification before I could read anything else. I asked what that was about. He said it was just an appointment he had tomorrow. I asked what kind of appointment. He said just some errands he needed to run. Something about the way he said it made my stomach tighten, but I pushed the feeling away. I told him good night and went back to our bedroom alone. That night I lay in bed listening to the faint sounds of him moving around in the guest room. At one point I thought I heard the soft hum of a printer, but I told myself I was imagining things. The next morning, Nathan was already gone when I woke up. He had left a note on the kitchen counter saying he had an early meeting and that he would see me later. The note was polite but distant, like something you would leave for a roommate rather than a spouse. I made myself coffee and sat at the table, staring at the empty chair across from me. For a moment, I considered cancelling the trip, but then I thought about how that would look, like I was letting Nathan control me, like I was admitting he was right. No, I was going to Miami. I was going to prove that I could maintain my independence, that I did not need his permission or his approval, that a strong woman could have friendships with whomever she wanted without it meaning anything inappropriate. I opened my laptop and booked my flight. Friday to Sunday, 3 days in Miami with Dominic, 3 days of sunshine and freedom and proving a point. When the confirmation email arrived, I felt a surge of satisfaction. I forwarded it to Mina and texted her that it was official. She sent back a thumbs-up emoji, but nothing else. I texted my mother telling her about the trip. She called me immediately, excited and proud. She said she was so glad I was not letting Nathan stifle me, that too many women gave up their identities when they got married, that I was setting a good example by maintaining my independence. I felt validated. I felt right. I felt like I was doing something brave. It never occurred to me that bravery and recklessness were not the same thing. That evening, Nathan came home late. He said his meeting had run long. I told him I had booked my flight. He nodded and said he hoped I had a nice trip. His tone was so neutral it made me want to scream. I asked if he was really not going to try to stop me. He said he already told me he could not stop me. I said he could try harder. He could fight for us. He said fighting someone who had already decided they were right was exhausting. I told him he was being passive-aggressive. He said he was being realistic. Before he went back to the guest room, he turned and said one more thing. He said that choices had consequences and that he hoped I understood that. I asked what he meant. He said I would figure it out eventually. Then he closed the door, and I was left standing in the hallway feeling like I had just heard a warning I did not quite understand. I went to bed that night with my phone glowing beside me, scrolling through Dominic's social media, looking at photos of Miami beaches and rooftop bars and clear blue water. It looked perfect. It looked like freedom. And Nathan's words echoed in my head. Choices had consequences, but I pushed them away. I was sure I was doing the right thing. I had to be. Friday morning arrived faster than I expected. I woke up to the sound of Nathan moving around the kitchen, and for a moment, I thought about staying in bed, avoiding the awkwardness of another strained goodbye. But I forced myself to get up and face it. Nathan was making coffee when I walked in. He glanced at me and asked if I wanted a cup. I said yes. He poured one for me without a word and set it on the counter. My side, not his. The mugs were on opposite ends again, like we were marking territories. I asked what time his meeting was today. He said he did not have a meeting, that he was working from home. I asked if he was staying home just to make me feel guilty about leaving. He said no, he had projects to finish and it was easier to focus here. I told him I would be back Sunday evening. He nodded. I said I would text him when I landed. He said that was fine. The silence between us felt like a wall. I wanted him to yell, to argue, to give me something to fight against, but he just drank his coffee calmly and scrolled through his phone like I was not even there. When my rideshare arrived, Nathan walked me to the door. He asked if I had everything I needed. I said yes. He said to have a safe flight. I leaned in to kiss him, and he turned his head slightly so that my lips landed on his cheek instead of his mouth. I pulled back, stung. I asked if he was really going to be like this. He said he was not being like anything. He was just saying goodbye. I told him he was being cold. He said he was being honest about how he felt. I grabbed my suitcase and walked out without another word. As the car pulled away, I looked back at the house. Nathan was standing in the doorway watching me leave, his expression unreadable. He did not wave. I told myself he would get over it. I told myself this trip would be good for both of us, that it would remind him he could not take me for granted. The drive to the airport felt longer than usual. I kept checking my phone, half expecting Nathan to text me something, anything, but there was nothing. At the airport, I checked my bag and went through security, and the whole time I felt a strange hollowness in my chest. I tried to shake it off by scrolling through Instagram, posting a photo of my boarding pass with the caption, "Miami bound." The reactions came quickly. Mina liked it. My mother commented, "So proud of you." Several co-workers liked it. I felt a little better. Then my phone buzzed with a text from Nathan. Just one line. "Landed safe." Not, "Have a good trip," or "Miss you already." Just an acknowledgement that he received my earlier text. It felt transactional, like we were co-workers, coordinating schedules rather than spouses. I put my phone away and boarded the plane, determined not to let his coldness ruin my weekend. The flight was smooth. I had a window seat and spent most of it staring at the clouds, thinking about what I would say to Dominic, how I would explain that this was just a friendly visit, that I was happily married, and this was not about rekindling anything. But deep down, I knew I liked the attention. I liked that Dominic had invited me. I liked that he thought I was worth flying across the country to see. And I liked that Nathan was uncomfortable with it, because it meant he still cared, even if he was not showing it the way I wanted. When the plane landed in Miami, I turned my phone back on and immediately saw a text from Dominic, saying he was waiting at baggage claim. My heart did a little flip. I found him standing near the carousel, tall and tanned and smiling that easy smile I remembered. He was wearing a linen shirt and expensive sunglasses pushed up on his head, looking every bit the successful real estate developer he had become. When he saw me, he opened his arms and pulled me into a hug that lasted just a little too long. He said I looked amazing. I said he looked good too. He grabbed my suitcase and told me the car was waiting outside. The drive to the hotel was filled with easy conversation. He asked about my job, my life, my marriage. I told him work was great, that I loved event planning, and that I was good at it. When he asked about Nathan, I hesitated, then said things were fine, just the usual married stuff. He said he understood that his own divorce had taught him how hard relationships could be. I asked what happened with his marriage. He said they had grown apart, that she wanted kids and he wanted freedom, and eventually they both realized they wanted different lives. He said it was amicable but still painful. I said I was sorry. He said it was probably for the best, that now he could focus on himself and reconnect with people who mattered. The way he said people who mattered while looking at me made my stomach flutter. When we arrived at the hotel, it was even nicer than I expected. The lobby was all white marble and floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking the ocean. Dominic checked us in while I stood there, feeling like I had stepped into a movie. He handed me a key card and said my suite was right next to his, just like he promised. We took the elevator to the 18th floor, and when the doors opened, the hallway was quiet and elegant, all soft lighting and plush carpet. My suite was beautiful. King bed, ocean view balcony, marble bathroom with a soaking tub. Dominic's suite was identical, and the adjoining door between them was unlocked on both sides. He said he would let me settle in and that we should meet at the rooftop pool in an hour. I agreed, and he left through the main door, not the adjoining one. I unpacked quickly and changed into my bikini, the new one I had bought specifically for this trip, white and expensive and more revealing than anything I usually wore. I told myself it was just because I wanted to feel confident, not because I was trying to impress anyone. The rooftop pool was stunning, infinity edge overlooking the ocean, lounge chairs, a bar serving frozen drinks in tall glasses. Dominic was already there, sitting on a lounger in swim trunks and sunglasses, looking completely at ease. He waved me over and ordered me a drink before I even sat down. We spent the next hour talking and laughing, and I felt lighter than I had in months. He made me feel interesting, attractive, like I was someone worth listening to. At some point, he pulled out his phone and said we should take a photo. He held the phone up and we leaned close together, his arm around my shoulders, both of us smiling. The ocean sparkled behind us. He said it was a great shot and posted it to his Instagram immediately. I asked if I could see it first. He showed me. We looked good together, happy and carefree. He captioned it, "Good company, better views," with a sun emoji. I felt a pang of guilt. This was the kind of photo that would look bad to Nathan. But then I reminded myself that I had nothing to hide, that this was innocent, that Nathan just needed to trust me. I posted the photo to my own Instagram with the same caption. Within minutes, the likes started rolling in. Mina liked it. My mother liked it. Several people commented that we looked amazing, that Miami suited me. I did not see any reaction from Nathan, but I knew he had seen it because we were still following each other. That evening, Dominic and I had dinner at the hotel restaurant, then went back to the rooftop for more drinks. We sat in adjacent lounges, close enough that our hands were almost touching when we reached for our glasses. At one point, someone walked by and offered to take our photo. Dominic said yes before I could object. The photo showed us side by side, holding cocktails, the sunset blazing orange behind us. Dominic posted it immediately with the caption, "Miami Magic." I hesitated before posting it to my own account, but then I thought about Nathan sitting at home alone, probably sulking, and I felt a surge of defiance. I posted it with the caption, "Living my best life." The reactions came even faster this time. My mother commented, "You deserve this." Mina liked it but did not comment. I noticed Claire, my younger sister, had viewed my story but did not like or comment on anything, which was unusual. As the evening wore on, Dominic and I talked about old times, college parties, road trips, inside jokes that no one else would understand. He said he had always wondered what would have happened if we had stayed together. I laughed it off and said we were different people now. He said maybe, but that some things did not change. He said I was still the most interesting woman he had ever met. I felt my face flush. I told him he was being dramatic. He said he was being honest. When we finally went back to our rooms, it was past midnight. Dominic walked me to my door and said he had a great time. I said I did too. He leaned in, and for a horrible, thrilling second, I thought he was going to kiss me. Instead, he kissed my cheek and said goodnight. I went into my room and closed the door, my heart pounding. I checked my phone and saw 3 texts from Nathan. The first said, "Hope you arrive safely." The second said, "Saw your posts. Looks nice." The third said, "I'll be busy tomorrow. Enjoy your day." The messages were polite, distant, almost formal. There was no anger, no jealousy, no emotion at all. It felt worse than if he had yelled at me. I typed out a reply saying I missed him and that we should talk when I got back. I stared at the message for a long time before deleting it. Instead, I just sent, "Thanks. Good night." He did not respond. I lay in bed staring at the ceiling, listening to the sound of the ocean through the open balcony door. I should have felt happy. I should have felt free. But instead, I felt like I was standing on the edge of something dangerous, and I could not quite bring myself to step back. Saturday morning, Dominic knocked on the adjoining door and asked if I wanted to go to the beach. I said yes, and we spent the day in the sun, swimming and talking and soaking up the warmth. At one point, he bought me a new bikini from one of the resort shops. Turquoise blue, even more expensive than the one I brought. He said it matched my eyes. I protested, but he insisted, and I let him. I changed into it and we took more photos. One showed me standing at the water's edge, laughing as a wave crashed behind me. Dominic posted it with the caption, "She belongs here." I posted it too, with the caption, "Feeling alive." Back home, Nathan was sitting in the empty house, my absence echoing in every room. He had not slept well the night before. He kept checking his phone, seeing the new posts, seeing me smiling with another man in ways I had not smiled with him in months. He opened his laptop and pulled up the photos again, studying them carefully. The way Dominic's hand rested near mine. The way we leaned into each other. The captions that felt too intimate. He opened a new document and started typing. Date, location, caption, witnesses. He saved screenshots of each post, noting the timestamps and the comments. He created a folder and labeled it with Saturday's date. Then he opened his phone and scrolled back through our old text messages, finding the threads where I had talked about Dominic years ago, back when we first started dating. I had told him Dominic was just an ex, someone I was over, someone who did not matter anymore. Nathan saved those screenshots too. He did not call me. He did not text me angry accusations. He just documented everything with the precision of someone building a case. That evening in Miami, Dominic and I went to a beachside restaurant for dinner. The place was beautiful. Open air, string lights, the sound of waves in the background. We ordered wine and seafood, and the conversation flowed easily. Halfway through the meal, Dominic raised his glass and said he wanted to make a toast. He said, to old times and new memories, to the people who remind us we're still alive. I clinked my glass against his, feeling warm and wanted and reckless. Someone at the next table offered to take our photo. Dominic handed them his phone and we posed, leaning close, glasses raised, smiling like we had not a care in the world. When we got the photo back, Dominic immediately posted it with the caption, "To old times." I felt a flicker of hesitation, but I posted it too, along with a short video of him making the toast. My caption read, "Cheers to friendship and freedom." The reactions came in waves. My mother commented that I looked radiant. Mina liked it, but then unliked it a minute later, which I noticed, but chose to ignore. Nathan saw it too, sitting alone in the guest room at home. He watched the video 3 times, listening to Dominic's voice, watching the way I laughed, the way we looked at each other. He saved the video. He added it to his growing file of evidence, labeling it carefully. Then he opened his text messages and sent one line to his brother Garrett. "Call me when you're ready to talk strategy." Garrett responded immediately. "I've been waiting for you to ask. Tomorrow morning?" Nathan replied, "Yes." That night, I fell asleep in my Miami hotel room, feeling like I had won something, like I had proved that I was still desirable, still interesting, still someone worth pursuing. What I did not know was that back home, Nathan was not sulking or feeling sorry for himself. He was preparing, and when someone as methodical as Nathan starts preparing, it means he has already decided how things are going to end. He opened a locked drawer in his desk and placed a USB drive inside, labeled with Saturday's date. Then he closed the drawer, locked it carefully, and went to bed in the guest room, alone but not defeated. Just patient. Sunday morning in Miami felt different. The sunlight coming through the hotel curtains seemed brighter, almost too bright, and I woke up with a strange hollowness in my chest that I could not quite explain. I checked my phone and saw that Nathan had not texted me at all since yesterday afternoon. I sent him a message saying good morning and asking how he was doing. He responded 3 hours later with just, "Fine, have a safe flight home." Nothing else. No, "I miss you," or "I can't wait to see you." Just a polite acknowledgement, like I was a coworker returning from a business trip. Dominic and I had brunch at the hotel before my afternoon flight. He ordered mimosas and told me the weekend had been amazing, that he hoped we could do it again sometime. I laughed and said maybe, though I knew Nathan would never agree to a second Miami trip. Dominic asked if Nathan was upset. I said he was being moody, but that he would get over it. Dominic said Nathan should trust me more, that if he really loved me, he would want me to be happy. I agreed, even though something about the way Dominic said it made me uncomfortable. When it was time to leave for the airport, Dominic hugged me goodbye and said he would see me soon. I said I would like that. We took one last photo together in the hotel lobby, both of us smiling, and he posted it with the caption, "Until next time." I posted it too, but with a slightly different caption, "Goodbye Miami, you were perfect." The flight home felt longer than the flight there. I kept checking my phone, scrolling through the photos from the weekend, reliving the moments. Part of me felt proud. I had done something bold, something that proved I was still my own person. But another part of me felt a creeping sense of dread. When the plane landed, I turned my phone back on and saw a group text from Nathan's family. His mother Diane had sent a message to the whole family saying there was a barbecue at her house this afternoon and everyone was invited. She had added, "Nathan especially needs family around him right now." My stomach dropped. What did that mean? I texted Nathan asking if he was going to the barbecue. He responded immediately, "Yes, I'll meet you there." Not, "I'll pick you up," or "I'll wait for you." Just that he would meet me there, like we were arriving separately to the same event. I took a rideshare home from the airport, dropped off my suitcase, and changed quickly into something casual. The house felt cold and empty. Nathan's things were all still in the guest room, and I noticed that the main bedroom, our bedroom, looked like it had not been used all weekend. He had not even slept in our bed while I was gone. I drove to Diane's house, my hands gripping the steering wheel tighter than necessary. When I pulled up, I saw several cars already parked in the driveway. Nathan's, Garrett's, Owen's. The whole family was there. I walked into the backyard and immediately felt the shift in energy. Diane was at the grill with Nathan, her hand on his shoulder like she was comforting him. Garrett was standing nearby with his wife, and Owen was sitting at the picnic table with a drink, looking serious. When I walked up, the conversation stopped. Diane looked at me with an expression I had never seen before. Not quite anger, but something cold and disappointed. I said hello to everyone. Nathan nodded in my direction, but did not come over to greet me. Garrett gave me a tight smile. Owen did not smile at all. I asked Nathan if we could talk privately. He said maybe later, that he was helping his mother with the food right now. I stood there awkwardly, feeling like an outsider at what was supposed to be a family gathering. Claire, my younger sister, had also been invited. She pulled me aside after a few minutes and asked if I realized what I had done. I asked what she meant. She said that Nathan's entire family had seen my Instagram posts, that they were all talking about how inappropriate it was, how disrespectful to Nathan. I felt defensive. I told her there was nothing inappropriate about spending time with a friend. She said it did not look like just a friend, that it looked like I was flaunting another man in front of my husband. I told her she was overreacting, that everyone was overreacting. She looked at me for a long moment and then said that Nathan had called her yesterday, that he sounded different, calm, but in a scary way, like he had made a decision about something. I asked what kind of decision. She said she did not know, but that I should be worried. Garrett approached us then and asked if he could speak to me. We walked to the side of the yard, away from everyone else. He said he wanted to give me some advice as Nathan's brother. He said that what I had done in Miami was public and permanent, that social media posts did not just disappear, and that I should think carefully about what message I was sending. I told him I did not need a lecture. He said he was not lecturing me, he was warning me. He said Nathan had been documenting everything, that he was protecting himself legally, and that if I was smart, I would start thinking about the consequences. I asked what he meant by documenting. Garrett just looked at me with something like pity and said I would find out soon enough. Diane called everyone over for food. We all filled our plates and sat at the long picnic table, but the atmosphere was tense. Nathan sat at the opposite end from me, talking quietly with Garrett and Owen. I sat near my sister, feeling the weight of everyone's judgment. At one point, Diane addressed the table and said that family was about respect and commitment, and that she hoped everyone remembered that. She looked directly at me when she said it. I felt my face burn. I wanted to defend myself, to tell them all that they did not understand, that I had done nothing wrong. But the words stuck in my throat. After dinner, I tried again to pull Nathan aside. I told him we needed to talk about what happened. He said there was nothing to talk about, that I had made my choices, and now we were living with them. I asked what that meant. He said I would figure it out eventually. I told him he was being cryptic and unfair. He said I was being oblivious and selfish. That was the first time he had actually expressed any real emotion, and it shocked me. I asked if he was angry. He said he was not angry, he was done. I asked what he meant by done. He said done, trying to make me understand something I refused to see. Then he walked away, back to Garrett and Owen, and I was left standing alone in the yard. When I got home that night, Nathan's car was not in the driveway. I went inside and saw that he had moved even more of his things into the guest room. His clothes, his toiletries, even his laptop charger, everything was in there now. The main bedroom felt empty and abandoned. I checked my phone and saw that Nathan had posted something on Instagram for the first time in months. It was a photo of the sunset from his mother's backyard, with the caption, "Grateful for family who remind you what loyalty looks like." I stared at that caption for a long time. It felt like a public statement, a line drawn in the sand. I texted him asking when he was coming home. He replied, "Late. Don't wait up." I stayed up anyway, sitting on the couch in the dark, waiting for the sound of his car. He did not get home until after midnight. I heard him come in through the garage, heard him move quietly down the hallway to the guest room, heard the door close and the lock click. The lock. He was locking himself in now. I knocked softly on the door and said his name. He asked what I needed. I said I needed to talk. He said it was late and we could talk another time. I told him through the door that I was sorry if I hurt him, that I did not mean for things to go this way. He was quiet for a long moment. Then he said that intent did not erase impact. I asked what I could do to fix this. He said nothing, that some things could not be fixed, only ended properly. That word, properly, sent a chill through me. I went to bed alone that night, and for the first time since we got married, I felt genuinely afraid. Not of Nathan, but of what I had set in motion, not of his anger, but of his silence. In the morning, I woke up to find him already gone. There was no note this time, just the faint smell of coffee, and the knowledge that he was pulling further away from me with every passing hour. I looked at his side of the bed, still pristinely made, untouched. I looked at his empty coffee mug drying by the sink, his mug, always separate from mine now. I looked at the guest room door, still closed, still locked from the inside even though he was not home. And I realized with a sickening clarity that Nathan was not just upset. He was not just hurt or angry or sulking. He was preparing something. And whatever it was, I was not going to like it. Monday morning felt like waking up in a stranger's house. Nathan had already left for work by the time I got up, and the silence in the apartment was oppressive. I stood in the kitchen making coffee, staring at his mug on the opposite counter, still separate from mine, still a visual representation of how far apart we had become. I checked my phone and saw that I had several missed calls from my mother. I called her back, and she answered on the first ring, her voice bright and enthusiastic. She said she had seen all my Miami photos and that I looked radiant, like I was finally living my life the way I deserved to. I told her things were tense with Nathan. She said that was to be expected, that men always felt threatened when women showed independence, but that he would come around once he realized he could not control me. I wanted to believe her, but something about her advice felt hollow now. She asked if Nathan had apologized yet for being so unsupportive. I said no, that actually Nathan seemed completely calm, which was somehow worse than if he were yelling. She said that was just passive aggression and that I should not reward it by backing down. I hung up feeling more confused than comforted. At work that day, I noticed people looking at me differently. Mina avoided eye contact when I walked past her desk. Two of my co-workers, who usually chatted with me at the coffee machine, suddenly had urgent work to do when I approached. I told myself I was being paranoid. During lunch, I went to the gym to clear my head. The locker room was mostly empty when I arrived, and I was changing into my workout clothes when I heard a familiar voice calling my name. It was Owen, Nathan's best friend. He was there with his gym bag, and from the look on his face, he had been hoping to run into me. He asked if we could talk for a minute. I said sure, feeling defensive already. We sat on one of the benches near the lockers, and Owen said he wanted to be honest with me. He said Nathan had called him over the weekend, that they had talked for a long time, and that Nathan was not okay. I said I knew that I was trying to fix things. Owen said I could not fix something by pretending it was not broken. I told him he did not understand the situation. He said he understood perfectly that I had gone on a romantic vacation with my ex-boyfriend, posted it all over social media, and expected Nathan to just accept it. I said it was not romantic, it was friendly. Owen said the photos told a different story. He said Nathan had shown him everything. All the posts, all the captions, all the comments. Owen said it looked bad, really bad, and that even people outside the situation were commenting on how inappropriate it was. I felt my face flush. I told Owen that Nathan was lucky to have such a loyal friend, but that maybe he should stay out of our marriage. Owen said he normally would, but that Nathan was his best friend, and he could not just stand by and watch me destroy him. I asked what he meant by destroy. Owen said that Nathan had been documenting everything, that he had created files and folders and spreadsheets tracking every post, every lie, every moment I had prioritized Dominic over him. He said Nathan was protecting himself. I asked what Nathan needed protection from. Owen looked at me like I was missing something obvious. He said from whatever I was going to do next, because at this point, Nathan did not trust me at all. Then Owen said something that made my blood run cold. He said that if Nathan ever needed someone to testify about what happened, Owen would do it. He said he would tell the truth, whatever that truth was. I asked if Nathan was planning to divorce me. Owen said he did not know, but that Nathan was definitely planning something, and that I should probably start thinking about my own strategy. I left the gym without working out, my hands shaking. That afternoon, I decided to visit my mother. I needed someone to tell me I was not crazy, that I had not done anything so terrible that it justified this level of reaction from Nathan and his family. My mother lived in a small but elegant apartment downtown, decorated with photos from her modeling days and artwork she had collected over the years. When I arrived, she hugged me and said I looked stressed. I told her everything: the barbecue, Garrett's warning, Owen's conversation at the gym. She listened and then said exactly what I needed to hear. She said Nathan was being emotionally abusive by withdrawing like this, that he was trying to manipulate me into feeling guilty for something that was not wrong. She said men often tried to control women by making them doubt themselves, and that I should not fall for it. I felt validated, relieved. I told her I was worried Nathan was planning something legal. She waved her hand dismissively and said that was just him trying to scare me, that he would never actually go through with it because divorces were expensive and complicated and he was too risk-averse for that. She said I should stand my ground, that I should not apologize for living my life, that I was a strong, independent woman who did not need anyone's permission to be happy. I left her apartment feeling better, more confident. She was right. Nathan was just trying to scare me into submission, and I was not going to let him. But that confidence started to crack as soon as I got home. Nathan's car was in the garage, but when I walked inside, the house was eerily quiet. I called his name. No answer. I checked the guest room. The door was closed and locked. I knocked. He said I could come in. When I opened the door, I saw him sitting at the small desk, his laptop open in front of him, surrounded by papers and folders. He was wearing reading glasses, which he only did when he was doing detailed work, and he looked completely focused. I asked what he was doing. He said he was organizing files. I asked what kind of files. He said household documents, bills, bank statements, insurance policies. I said we had never needed to organize those before. He said we did now. I sat on the edge of the bed and told him we needed to talk about us. He said he was listening. I said I was sorry that the Miami trip upset him, but that I needed him to understand I had not done anything wrong. He looked at me over his glasses and said that was interesting, because from his perspective I had done many things wrong. I asked him to list them. He turned his laptop screen toward me. On it was a spreadsheet with dozens of rows, each one labeled with a date, a location, a description, and a link to a social media post. He had been tracking everything. I felt my stomach drop. I asked why he was doing this. He said because memory was unreliable, but data was not. He said that when people denied reality, sometimes you had to document it so they could not rewrite history later. I told him this was insane, that he was acting like a stalker or a detective. He said he was acting like someone who needed to protect himself. I asked from what? He said from whatever I was going to claim later when I tried to make this his fault. I stood up, angry now. I told him he was being paranoid and controlling. He said I kept using those words, paranoid, controlling, but that they did not apply to someone who was simply responding to what was actually happening. He said I was gaslighting him by calling his reasonable concerns unreasonable. I said I was not gaslighting anyone. He said then I did not know what the word meant. I stormed out of the room. I heard him close his laptop and lock the door again behind me. That night, I could not sleep. I kept thinking about that spreadsheet, about how methodical and thorough he had been. It scared me in a way I did not want to admit. Around midnight, I got up to get water and saw light coming from under the guest room door. I pressed my ear to it and heard the faint sound of his voice. He was on the phone with someone, speaking in low, measured tones. I caught fragments. Yes, I have everything documented. The photos are time-stamped. I can provide witness statements. My heart started pounding. Who was he talking to? When I heard him hang up, I quickly went back to the bedroom and pretended to be asleep. A few minutes later, I heard the guest room door open, heard him walk to the kitchen, heard the sound of the printer starting up. The printer ran for several minutes, page after page after page. Then it stopped, and I heard him walk back to the guest room and close the door. In the morning, I snuck into his study while he was in the shower. On the desk were 3 thick binders, neatly labeled, auto, bank, household. I opened the household one and found dozens of printed pages, screenshots of my Instagram posts, printed emails, bank statements highlighting charges from the Miami hotel, a timeline of events with dates and descriptions. There was also a sticky note on the desk that read, "Bring forms, 2s, 11:50 a.m. Forms. What forms? I heard the shower turn off and quickly left the study. When Nathan came out, dressed for work, he saw me standing in the hallway and asked if I needed something. I said no. He said he had an appointment tomorrow and would be out of the office for a few hours. I asked what appointment. He said just personal business. I asked if he was seeing a lawyer. He did not answer, just picked up his briefcase and left. After he was gone, I called Mina. I told her everything: the spreadsheet, the binders, the phone call, the sticky note. She was quiet for a long time. Then she said maybe I should talk to a lawyer too, just to protect myself. I said, protect myself from what? From my own husband? She said yes, actually. That was exactly what I might need to do. That afternoon I tried to work, but could not focus. I kept refreshing Nathan's Instagram, looking for some sign of what he was thinking. He had not posted anything new, but I noticed he had changed his bio. It no longer mentioned being married. I felt panic rising. I called him. He did not answer. I texted him asking if we could talk tonight. He replied hours later, "I'll be home late." When he finally came home, it was almost 9. He looked tired but calm. I asked where he had been. He said out. I asked with who. He said it did not matter. I told him I knew he was planning something, that I had seen the binders and the note about forms. He said good, that he wanted me to know. I asked what he was planning. He said he was planning to handle this properly, the way it should have been handled from the start. I asked if he was going to divorce me. He said he was going to do what was necessary to protect his dignity and his future. I started crying, asking him not to do this, saying we could work it out. He said the time for working it out was before I went to Miami, before I posted those photos, before I chose my ego over our marriage. I grabbed his arm, begging him to reconsider. He gently pulled away and said that he had given me every chance to choose differently, that he had been patient and quiet and hopeful, but that I had made it clear what I valued. He said I valued attention and validation more than I valued him, and that he was done competing with my need for applause. He went to the guest room and closed the door. I heard the lock click. I stood in the hallway sobbing, and for the first time I realized that I might actually lose him. Not because he did not love me, but because I had broken something that could not be repaired with apologies. That night, I lay awake staring at the ceiling, listening to the sounds of him moving around in the guest room. At some point, I heard the printer again, and the soft mechanical whir of it felt like a countdown. Tomorrow was Tuesday, 11:50 a.m. Bring forms. Whatever was coming, it was coming soon. Tuesday. Woke exhausted. Nathan gone, no coffee. Called in sick, stalked him to courthouse, met Garrett, went inside. Mom raged, fight back. Didn't help. Claire, you messed up. I'm giving Nathan a statement. Home, Nathan loading boxes, archive AB, statements. You'll see Thursday. Mina, you stopped being his wife. Wednesday, silence. Thursday, 3:45, drove to Plaza. Nathan with Garrett, Owen, Claire, and a process server holding the folder. I froze 10 feet away on the courthouse plaza. Nathan called me over calmly. The process server confirmed my name, handed me a thick envelope, divorce petition, temporary orders, 30 days to respond, exhibits spilled out. A. Miami Instagram posts. B. Texts planning with Dominic. C. Hotel upgrade to single suite. D. Bikini, dinners, champagne charges. E.g. witness statements, Owen, Claire, hotel staff. Nathan, you betrayed me publicly. This is public too. Garrett, Owen, Claire stood witness. Phones recorded. Strangers stared. I begged for counseling. He said sorry wasn't enough. Evidence was final. Uncontested. Dignified. Diane, his mother, passed. You destroyed a good man. Home, Nathan's things gone. Note, attorney only. His Instagram, sunset, new beginnings. Hundreds of likes. I sat with the papers, uncontested hearing in 30 days, alone in an empty house, no defense, no one left, nothing to say. He ended it properly. I ended us.